Here's a trilobite. I've got a bunch of them in my office there. This textbook says, matter of fact, my textbook might be right here. If not, it's in my office there. Okay. He says, trilobite fossils make good index fossils. If a trilobite, such as this one, is found in a rock layer, the rock layer was probably formed 500 to 600 million years ago. Okay, now why do they think trilobites indicate the rock is 500 million years old? Well, because they started with the assumption that trilobites evolved first. See, the oldest life form, according to their thinking, is supposed to be 600 million years old. Well, if trilobites came first, we have a real problem. Here's a human shoe print where a guy has stepped on a trilobite. Now, according to their thinking, humans didn't get here till 3 million years ago. They didn't start wearing shoes till about 10,000 years ago. So how can you have a human shoe print on top of a trilobite? Now, some have tried to argue that this is not a shoe print, it's a natural break in the shale. This kind of rock, called shale, splits very easily. And they say this is just a natural break, that's not really a shoe print. Well, Mr. Meister from Carnes, Utah, who found it, took it to quite a few geologists. Dr. H.H. Doling of Utah's Geological Survey certified it is not a fake. Reader's Digest, Mystery of the Unexplained talks about this. A human shoe print smashed on top of a trilobite, on top of a smashed trilobite, would indicate trilobites and humans lived at the same time. Which I could have told them. The Bible says God made everything in 6 days. Some people say maybe aliens visited the planet. That's what happened. 600 million years ago, aliens came down here. One guy said maybe a large trilobite shaped like a shoe fell on a small one. Well, there are some big trilobites, I'll admit, but they're not shaped like a shoe. 2 Peter's got the best explanation. The scoffers in the last days are willingly ignorant of the flood. Probably trilobites dwell at the bottom of the ocean, go through the mud down there or something, and they do have gills for living in water. And probably during the time of the flood, the crust of the earth is flexing back and forth, and what used to be the bottom of the ocean is now above sea level. And people are running across this area trying to find a mountain to keep out of the water. And somebody stepped on a trilobite, which before had been at the bottom of the ocean. Trilobite eyes are incredibly complicated. This Science News back in 1974 said that trilobite eyes have the most sophisticated eye lenses ever produced by nature. Well, I disagree. They said they were produced by God. But the trilobite eye sometimes will have 1,500 lenses, which means he could actually see all directions at the same time. He can see behind him and see above him and see around him, all at the same time. Even Stephen Gould says the eyes of the early trilobites have never been exceeded for complexity or acuity. Well, now, if they're the first animal to evolve, or one of the first, don't you find it kind of interesting they've got the most complicated eye in the world? There might be some animals like trilobites still alive. I talked to Joe Taylor today at Mount Blanco Museum in Texas. They've got a great display of fossil trilobites, including many that are found in the folded position. What happens when a trilobite dies, it folds up, or rolls up. How many have seen the little bugs we have here in Florida? They roll up, like call them a roly-poly. A little round pill bug, they're called. As soon as you touch them, they roll up, looks like a little BB. You know what I'm talking about, the little gray things? Yeah, called a pill bug. Trilobites do that also. When they get scared, they roll up, so their shell protects them on all sides. Many trilobites are found fossilized flattened out. Some are found fossilized rolled up. Many millions are found fossilized halfway. They started to roll up and died. Now think about it. Mount Blanco Museum has a display of trilobites where there's 2 of them that are laid out flat like they're walking. The one in front of them is halfway rolled up. Something caught them in a catastrophe happened. Probably an incredible water temperature change during the time of the flood. You'd have the fountains of the Great Deep breaking open, hot waters rushing into certain areas, killing these animals before they can even think of what's going on. They don't even have time to curl up. They just die in the flattened out position.